Well, as you just heard, the Mueller report has arrived with no further indictments, according to a senior DOJ official. That is it. No one else will be indicted in this investigation for collusion or anything else. So to repeat, after all of this, years of it, not a single American citizen has been charged with anything related to Russian collusion. Not one person. Not Michael Flynn, not Roger Stone, not George Papadopoulos, not Paul Manafort, not Carter Page, not Donald Trump. Many of these people have had their lives ruined by the Mueller investigation. Some could die in prison. Not one of them colluded with Russia. The people on TV have been lying to you. They'll deny it now. They'll tell you this was always about Trump's taxes or some foreign real estate deal or hush money he paid to a girlfriend. That's a crock. This investigation was always, from day one, about collusion with Russia, about betraying this country. They told us that for years, and we have the tape.
What makes you believe that he has more indictments?
Because he hasn't addressed the issues related to criminal conspiracy as well as any individuals.
Criminal conspiracy involving the Russian influence?
Russians, yes, yeah. I think it was very, in terms of American person, U.S. persons.
That's an area you know something about. That investigation was developing while you were still on the job.
Well, it was, in terms of looking at what was going on with the Russians and whether or not U.S. persons were actively collaborating, colluding, cooperating, involved in a conspiracy with them or not. But also if there's going to be any member of the Trump family. Did you see enough
at that stage to believe that there would now that would result in indictments once investigated?
I thought at the time that there was going to be individuals who were going to have issues with the Department of Justice.
So that was the former CIA director, one of countless retired intel officials you see parading across your screen every night, all of them paid by MSNBC or CNN to toe the party line. All of them know better. They're lying. It's a habit many of them picked up years ago. Members of Congress did the same. To pick one among 1,000 examples, here's Tennessee's Steve Cohen telling us that most of the Trump family is bound for prison.
Well, I think they're getting closer to knowing that the truth's going to come out, that there was activities with the Trump campaign in Russia and releasing those hacks and guiding them to the states and the localities where they came from. Some of that was Jared Kushner's responsibilities. Some of it was Donald Jr. I think you're going to probably see indictments of both of those people.
That man is a sitting member of Congress. He's wearing a necktie. He's on television. People believed him, and why wouldn't they? He's an authority figure in this country, and he was lying. So was Senator Richard Blumenthal, who has spent years bringing shame to the state of Connecticut. He embarrassed himself even further with his mock certainty on this and many, many other occasions.
There are indictments in this president's future. They're coming. Whether they're after his presidency or during it, obviously the Department of Justice said cannot indict a sitting president.
And of course there was Howard Dean. He's the former governor of Vermont. Dean was also, if you can remember that far back to 2004, a presidential candidate. At one point, it looked like he was going to be the nominee of the Democratic Party. He went on to run the DNC. He's on television constantly. People have long whispered that Howard Dean is not all there. They say he yells so much because he can't think very well. They claim he's so slow it takes him an hour and a half to watch 60 Minutes. You don't want to believe any of that's true. It sounds cruel. On the other hand, they might be right.
We believe we may well have a criminal in the White House, and the next step is going to be the Trump family itself. I expect that there's a good likelihood Jared Kushner will be indicted for money laundering, and then we're going to have to see how far the Russian involvement goes. This is serious business. These people are undermining our democracy.
It was never serious business. Another lie. It was ludicrous. It was always ludicrous. But no matter how much evidence you muster, you will never convince Congressman Eric Swalwell of that. Swalwell is the original collusion truther. There's no element of the Russia conspiracy that Swalwell, who's been on the show many times, isn't eager to believe and magnify. He really ought to have an overnight show on AM radio. He'd be able to tell us how Putin secretly runs Bilderberg. CNN, of course, loves Eric Swalwell. For years, that channel has broadcast uncritically virtually every lunatic claim Swalwell has ever made. Here's one example.
It's looking more and more, Wolf, that Donald Trump was a part of a criminal campaign, a criminal transition, and now presides over a criminal presidency.
A criminal presidency. What's criminal is what just happened. We have lived through 3 separate investigations into Russia collusion, not just Mueller, but a committee in the House and a committee in the Senate. And they spent years looking in this. And in the end, they found nothing. But during that time, this country, the country they're supposed to be running, has become obviously and measurably worse. Suicide, drug ODs are up. Life expectancy is falling. The borders are a mess. We have no clue who lives in this country, to the tune of millions of people, maybe tens of millions. We have no idea. The schools are a joke. You wouldn't send your kids to them if you had a choice. Infrastructure is crumbling. Hundreds of thousands of Americans sleep outside every night. So what are our leaders talking about? What do they spend their time obsessing over? What do they get TV bookings to rant about? Some irrelevant meeting with a minor Russian lawyer in Trump Tower 3 years ago. The New York City subway barely works. The largest city in the United States smells like garbage. People are fleeing it. What is Bill de Blasio, the mayor, talking about? He's ranting about Putin. This has been a disaster. How can we let the people who are responsible for it continue as if it never happened? How can Eric Swalwell and Adam Schiff keep their seats in the House of Representatives? They should resign. How can Jeff Zucker remain at CNN after we now know that much of what his network told us for 2 years is a total lie? And it is a total lie. And what about the victims of this monstrosity? There are many. Roger Stone is facing life in prison. He was indicted by an investigation designed to find collusion, indicted on minor charges. He was dragged from his own home in a morning FBI raid. They put an amphibious vehicle outside his house and pointed an automatic weapon in his face, all to find collusion. But there was no collusion. Stone is still looking at life in prison. Where is Roger Stone's pardon? His pardon from the president? Let's hope it comes very soon. The Mueller investigation is over as of tonight, but the wreckage remains. For the sake of this country, let's clean it up quickly and move on.